Hey guys, well, this is going to be an interesting one. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a basic mod on the Zumba Fitness 2 game on the Wii, or let alone, in this case, it'll be the ROM itself. And then here's like a list of tools that we will be using today. So, you will need an emulator for playtesting. I highly recommend Dolphin. And you will also need it for, extracting, the ISO and stuff. Which I have already done here. So if I go to Documents, you can see here it says Zumba 2 files, and this is where I, have this. And now this will be very important right here, too. So make sure you do that, too, so that way you're able to, like, actually mod the game's files themselves. And then, you will need Brawl blocks for renaming the CHR0, which is the animation file itself, which I believe is the animation itself inside the .bres files, which, if you don't know, this is, if I remember correctly, a format that's used by Nintendo for, like, animation or containing models and stuff. You will need WeMM's ISO tools for rebuilding a playable ISO. You will need a text editor for editing XML files, which you could use Notepad as long as you know what you're doing. But I personally recommend, Visual Studio Code, which is a tool by Microsoft. That way, in case you accidentally mess things up or something, you can, always refer back to things too, and it also, like, tells you, like, the warnings and errors, in certain spots or whatever. Um, so, yeah, I personally say VS Code is more reliable and stuff. You could also use some other text editors, like, I believe Notepad Plus is a thing. But yeah, these are some of the basic tools we will be using today. So, okay. So specifically today, in this tutorial, I will be showing you how to... But first, let me explain the structure of each song file that's in the game. And I will tell you, for today's modding, we're technically going to be doing gender swap and stuff. But first, you guys need to understand the structure of how this works. Alright? So, take ActiveAL for instance. You can see there is a file that's called 027 underscore activeal.arc, ARC, which in this case it's, well, when I opened this like in Brawlbox or something, I noticed inside was a TPL file, and decoding it with WeMM's SCS tools basically to PNG. It's just like a beta photo and stuff like that. But the main one you only need to keep in mind here is 027 underscore actival dot bres. That's what I call the BRRES files, by the way, because it kind of spells out a pronounceable word. A word that you can phonetically pronounce. Whatever, that's besides the main point. So this is a very vital component that you will need, because this contains references to the instructor models such as Beto, Tanya, or Gina. So normally Actival is a routine that's performed by Beto, which in this case the original choreography is here in 027 actival m.bres. So yeah, but that's because I already had modded it. So in this case, the default actival file will be the main choreography file that contains, all the choreography animation data and all that. So normally this file right here would say 027 actival underscore f, which stands for female, which in this case is the female variant. And when I inspected this file in Brawlbox, it turns out that Tanya was the instructor for the female variant. So there's that. But because it says underscore actival m.bres, I had already done the modifications. And I will have to tell you, if you are to reference the gender variant of the file in songslist.xml, but not this one, you will get the please insert the Zumba Fitness to disk. Now this is because the game is technically trying to reference both skeletons, but is trying to call the original file, and it just doesn't know which one to do, so instead of just crashing, it just goes to a fallback screen, which I guess you could say in this case is technically a crash, or technically, I guess Zumba's quote-unquote blue screen of death. It's not actually blue, but you know what I mean. So, yeah. Anywho, the files you will not be touching in this mod are the ARC file, LMC file, any of the Lua files, which are just scripts, or the XML files, such as dance, move params, transcription.xml. You will leave those alone. But since I have already done this too, I will show you, you know what? Okay, you know what? For this tutorial, we're gonna do El Merengazo. So, this is a routine that's performed by Tanya Beardsley in the game. So 005 underscore El underscore Merengazo, that breast, or El Merengazo, that breast, you know, has Tanya's choreography and her data and stuff. And the M variant, because Beto's the only male instructor in the game, he's the one that's, he would be the only, male gender variant you have. So, yeah. That's what the underscore M and underscore F flags stand for, which are the genders, male and female. So, male variant, female variant, well, okay, whatever, So today, I'm going to be showing you how to do this. So, I do have to point out, last night when I was, trying, to gender swap, the routines for Sucumbiarabit and, Activao, I had made a fatal mistake, which pretty much led to things looking like this, instead of like this. Yeah, you can see, how Beto's eyes are out of place, and on his visual cue, his head is missing. Yeah, this is a creepy glitch, and that's what you're going to have to be careful with. And so the mistake I did here is, I'm going to show you here in songlist.xml. So if we go to, and yes, I am attempting to mod Better mode into the game. I've only had luck so far with just having the song entry itself, but there's no preview. And after hitting the play button on that, the infinite screen is just infinite. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I meant the loading screen is just infinite. Oh my god. What am I on today? Whatever, that's besides the point. Again. So, as you can see, I've already done Sucumbiarabe, but, let's say for example, I wanted to gender swap, because we're doing El Merengazo, right? I remember that, Beto is the only male instructor in the game, and the only two female instructors you have are Tanya Beardsley and Gina Grant. So, for this one, El Merengazo, where it says recharacterization equals M, that's basically like an indicator that tells you the gender variant version of the routine. So M in this case meaning male. So we have Beto right here. Now, if I were, to do this, El Merengazo, where it says here, because this part right here is what references the animation file to get the choreography and stuff. If I do underscore M and I just click save, you would assume that, it would work because, this flag right here, but the thing is, after the loading screen and the visual cue, it just goes black and it just displays text that says, please insert the Zumba Fitness 2 disc. Congratulations, you have just done a fatal error. I know I'm yapping a lot, but I just need to point out some things before we actually get to this. Okay, so whatever. Okay, now where it says instructor here, if I were to just change this to Beto, he would be using Tanya's skeleton, so he would kind of look something like this. We don't want that. So before we do that, we're just gonna not edit anything here, but I'll keep this open. Now, another important thing. When you're gender swapping, for the default routine in this case, which is El Merengazo, that breast, because we want this one to be the gender variant, this would be Tanya's. Remember, this is technically the original one, because that's how it is in the game, or I guess that's what you would call a stock asset. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're gonna change this one to the gender variant, and then change el merengazo underscore m. We're gonna remove the gender tag from this one. Now, even though the game references this object, the actual chr0 in the file itself has a different name, so you will need some software to edit the name, because if the animation file within this file has a different name than what's on here, the game will crash on the loading screen and not past the loading screen. So to take care of this, you will need to download BrawlBox for animation renaming in .bress files. So we're going to go ahead and do this now. Okay, so let's go to BrawlBox.exe. Open up BrawlBox. Okay. So once you're in BrawlBox, you are going to find the Bress files you have edited. So remember, we're swapping from Tanya to Beto here. This is the file that I will be recompiling as the ISO. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to find the file. So as you can see, it already took me to the directory, because this is where I last was when I was editing Activao and Sucumbiarebe. So I recommend we do this one first. I almost opened the ARC file. As you can see here, notice how this right here has a different name than this. If the game tries to reference this file, but because it doesn't match the file name here, and it wouldn't recognize it as a valid object, so the game would just crash. So what you're going to do is you're going to go right click, rename, and just remove the M gender tag. Press OK or enter on your keyboard, whatever works. Control S. You want to make sure your changes are saved. If you do not save your... whatever. Okay, I'm pretty sure you guys know what happens if you don't save your changes. You know, unsaved work is lost, as technology tells you all the time. Now, I would just highly recommend just doing it for the other file too. Remember, this is Tanya, so this is the original right here, as you can see. We're going to go rename, and then we're going to add the underscore F tag. And as you can see here, it says Tanya, so that's how you know she's the one that performs this routine. Now, I will have to tell you, because, Beto has, no long hair and stuff, you won't have to worry about, static ponytails or just hair just looking like one giant stick on the head. One giant stick that's just static. So there's that. Now, after you do that, we're going to do another song for fun. We're going to do Es Que Se Llama, so, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to swap this from Tanya to Beto. So remember, add the gender flag to the original file, and then for the gender variant, remove the tag, go into BrawlBox, find the song, import the Bress file you have removed the male gender tag from in this case, rename it by removing the gender tag, save changes, and then do the same thing for the original routine, which is what will become the gender variant. So save again. Now, if you're unsure if you forgot to do something, or if you haven't saved, you can always open and then go back to the files that you could have sworn you edited. Okay, so after that, we just have one more step to do here. So remember to open the songlist.xml file. So remember, it's going to be in Files, Songs, and it's going to be near the bottom here. Okay. And then now you're going to go to the songs here. We're going to change his recharacterization to F. Okay, now this is optional. You can change the venue if you want to. I'm probably just going to keep El Merengazo at the Miami Yacht Party. But now this is very important. So after you have done those changes to the animation files, remember that the gender variant is Beto. So we're going to change it to instructor underscore Beto. So remember, Electrocumbia is Como Es Que Se Llama. Make sure you do that for both. Inspect things, to make sure they're looking good. I might change the venue for this one to... Inspect things and make sure they look good. Once you're done, you can go to File and Save, or if you want to know shortcuts and you want to save yourself, like 5 seconds, Control S. Once you see that the circle has gone away, you know you have saved your changes. So once you're done, or I think if you're on Notepad, what does it do again? I think it displays a star or something. Yeah, it displays a circle too, so okay. So once you've saved your changes, you're done. Alright. One final step. If you don't already have WeMM's ISO tools, I will provide a link down in the description so you can download it. Just make sure you know to follow the instructions and stuff. And after the tools install, you will have to reboot your computer. I don't know why, but just do so. Just for the best. Just for the best, okay? Just for the best, whatever. Okay. Okay, so now after you have downloaded those, by the way, I will be putting the code in the description that you will need to use. Okay. I do have my personal information blacked out here, for privacy reasons. Not that I won't trust anyone, but just for the best, and I potentially don't want to run into the wrong people, and eventually, something happens. So, CD. Okay, now make sure you're using the backslash, which it's this key right here on your keyboard. You're going to click that. If you use the /, errors will be thrown at you. Users, your name, documents. I'm just doing documents because that's where I extracted the game files to. /. Now make sure you are putting the directory name incorrectly, otherwise it will also throw an error at you. You could do a / and then quotation marks, but I'm just going to do quotation marks because I already have the directory in. Okay. Okay, for this next part, so now after you're in the file here, you are going to find the path of your WIT or WeM ISO tool file, excuse me. So, in this case, it's on my C drive. Okay, I just remembered there's a space. Okay, and then, after you have the location of your oh my god, I can't talk today, I'm sorry. After you have the location of your ISO tool, referenced, I'll see in this case, your ISO rebuilder, whatever. Well, whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay, so, you are going to do copy, space, dot. Okay, so remember, you already have the folder referenced here, so then you're already going to be running the rebuilding command here. So basically, you're going to be compiling it to an ISO, and then now here, this is where you can this is where you are going to determine the path of where you want your rebuilt ISO to be. So here we go. Gabe. Okay, so in this case, I'll just put it in my documents folder. And after you have it in the folder you want it in, another /, and then yourname.iso. Of course, replace yourname.iso with whatever. I'm just going to call it maybe Zumba 2 gender swap or something. I don't know. .iso. Make sure to add the... Oh, shit. Wait. There we go. That way it works correctly. Make sure you're using quotation marks. Make sure you don't use the less than and greater than signs like I just did right now, because otherwise it will give you an error. So after you have the path defined, just double check things, and then after you do that, press enter. And as you can see here, it's rebuilding, so if we look at it now, it's probably done building by now. Okay, so as you can see here, it's currently a .tmp file, which is the temporary file, because it's building the ISO. You will know when it's done when you see another line show up down here. So you just got to be patient and wait. La 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 la. Okay, there we go. All right, it's done. And if you want to know how it's done, you're going to see that the file name changed to .iso. Now, just to save space, you can just cut and paste it. So then you go to your Dolphins folder, or wherever you put your Dolphin games at. Just paste it in. Alright, so here we go. For the moment of truth, okay, as you can see, it says there's like 4 versions here. This is the original format, and then these 3 are the ISOs, so I believe the 4th one is what I'm going to want here. So then, open your mod. Thanks to load. I'm just going to fast forward through this part here. Alright, we're in the game. So now, and yes, I am using my mouse as a controller thing here, and I'm using my keyboard as a controller. Okay. So then, select your profile, whatever, okay. You will know it will work if it shows different icons and stuff. So this is one that I'm modding in. I don't want to do this one because the game will crash. I'm still modding this one in. As you can see, Yarib is already gender swapped. Un solo pueblo. Which ones did I do? Actival swapped as well. Here's one of the gender swapped ones. So here we go. Just gonna fast forward through this loading screen. And as you can see here, it's Beto. That's how you know it worked, is if everything looks good too. Here we go. I'm gonna choose people. As you can see, no glitches, no weird distortion or whatever. It's because we did things correctly. So there you go. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to show you guys the other one, which I remember correctly was El Merengazo. So see you guys when I get there. Okay, we're here. So this is the other one that I did here. Now, okay, now we're gonna, I'm hoping this one works too. Because, I mean, the other one I didn't have any problems, so I don't see why this one would have problems. You see, there you go. This one has weird camera angles for some reason. Alright, El Merengazo, here we go. As you can see, there are no glitches whatsoever. The game doesn't freeze, it doesn't bug out. And as you can see here, how he's like doing the routine and stuff. Alright, so I'm pretty sure you guys get the idea. So, yeah. Sorry about that, I just sneezed. Okay, so anywho, I thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did everything correctly and you're happy with things, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I would be glad to answer them for you. Anywho, this is Musica on the Highways. Peace out. I love y'all.